So, three. Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest episode of our sports show. As you know, each week on our sports show, we premiere an international event that's happening this coming weekend, and we're delighted it's a sports entertainment event that we're previewing for part 3 of our sports show this week. It's the Lucha Libre World Cup, live from Guadalajara, Mexico, on Sunday, March 19th on FITE TV at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. And we have a special guest with us this evening. And before I introduce him, I just want to speak about some of his accomplishments. 20 championships won over four companies: Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, New Japan Wrestling, NWA, a three-time Impact X division champion, a 6-time NWA tag team champion, a 1-time Ring of Honor world champion, and he's the first ever Grand Slam winner in Ring of Honor's company history. You might know him as the Fallen Angel, the one and only Christopher Daniels. And Chris, great to speak to you this evening. And Lucha Libre, were you always a fan of the luchadors growing up, Chris?
Honestly, no, man. I didn't get familiar with the Lucha Libre scene until after I started wrestling myself. But I've come to respect it, and I've been very fortunate to work some of the best luchadors in the world. And I'm sure that come Sunday, we'll probably get in the ring with a couple of luchadors again, just because we're that good. We'll probably win our first match and go all the way to the finals. So yeah, let's bring them all on. Bring them all on.
And before we go into depth about it, Chris, we'll just talk about the World Cup itself. You're in Team United States. You're with Sam Adonis and Johnny Caballero, and your first round opponents are Team Japan. You're against Estrella and Takuma Nishikawa and Kuukai. But just looking at some of the other competitors, Team Canada, awful strong, Impact Wrestling champion, Josh Alexander, Vampiro, PCO. You look at Team Europe then with Joe Hendry, Heidi Carrillo, Tom Latmore, and then obviously the home nation, Team Mexico with Taurus, Pentago Jr. and Laredo Kid. Stacked with talent here. It's going to be a World Cup for the ages, dare I say.
100%, 100%. Everyone you named definitely has a resume. They don't have to prove anything to anybody. They're all talented guys. That's why they're here. And it's going to be tough, but I'll tell you this, I think one of the things that works in our advantage, the three of us, myself, Johnny, and Sam, we all have extensive tag team experience. Like you said, I've been a 10-time world tag team champion. Johnny, with his extensive tag team work in the past. And then Sam, the majority of his career in Mexico, has done probably more 6-man tag matches than everybody else in the tournament combined. So I feel like it won't take us long to get on the same page and get a game plan to become a very dominant force in this entire tournament.
And I know, Chris, you've wrestled all over the world, and you're familiar for wrestling outside the United States. You've wrestled in places like Japan, which is ferocious for its wrestling. But tell me, what's it like wrestling in Mexico? In terms, have you wrestled in Mexico? Is it a different sort of level in terms of the demands, the expectations, in terms of the home crowd? If you go in there, as to say, dare I say, the foe against the favorite, dare I say, is it really like wrestling in a cauldron?
Yeah, it's difficult, man. I have wrestled, not very extensively, but I have had very big matches in the past in Mexico. I wrestled for AAA at a Triple Mania in 2010. Yeah, the fans can be very intimidating. They get behind their favorites. And if you're the villain in that evening, there's a lot of pressure on you, and there's a lot of hatred and angst coming towards you from that fan base. But I've never let that affect my performances in the ring. I'm very focused. I know Johnny is. I know Sam is as well. So being the American team, maybe we're not the favorites. Maybe we're not the heroes of the evening. But we won't let that stop our march to the top.
And Chris, what's it like coming together to form a sort of a tag team on the belts? I know you're wrestlers, you're professionals, you've done it for so many years, but you're so familiar. We all know your tag team with Frankie and your tag team with AJ in terms of your time in Impact. Revered sort of tag teams. Once you come together for an event, say once a year in terms like that, and you're preparing for that event maybe maybe a week out, maybe 2 weeks out in terms of that. You arrive in Mexico City. Is it sort of different? Is it different to feel in sync straight off the bat? Do you need that sort of, it is a World Cup, so do you need that, get the jitterbugs out in the first match in terms of that syncing and all the builds sort of momentum? Is that what it's like? Is it almost like a competitive tournament? You get past the first one and you build momentum as a team, you grow as a team?
Yeah, absolutely. And part of it too is putting your ego aside for the benefit of the team. And I think that's one of the things that's also in our favor. Like, we've had success. We've had success outside each other's peripheral. You know, Johnny's been successful for a very long time. Sam, in his own right, throughout his career in Mexico, and then myself. Like, we understand what it takes to win, and we understand that as a team, we need to put the team before any individual desires. And it's just a matter of, once you do that, now you've made a machine that can go all the way. And I think that's going to be very easy for us. We're all very experienced. We're not, you know, young guys looking to, you know, put our spotlight ahead of any team goals. So I think that's the key for us, is just put the ego aside, do what we got to do to win. And like you said, build momentum, get through that first match, lay in wait to see who's next, and go all the way.
Chris, I don't want to dish you any respect here, but I'm just going to say you're an experienced veteran at this stage. You've been around the block. You've been there. I remember watching you on FITE TV and Bravo here in Ireland back in the early 2000s in terms of Impact Wrestling. And you're a household name. You're a household name in the UK. You're a household name in Ireland. You're a household name all over the world. But in terms of what FITE TV does now for these sort of promotions like Lucha Libre, like New Japan Wrestling, for the likes of, say, dare I say, for Laredo Kid, a new exciting competitor, for the likes of maybe one of your opponents there, say La Estrella from Japan, they wouldn't be known to maybe the UK Irish audience that would have seen the WWE, Impact Wrestling, now All Elite sort of wrestling. FITE TV gives that platform to them to become household names. How important is it for that these brands get recognized? Because at a time in the past, I remember you heard of Impact Wrestling, you heard of WWE, and obviously All Elite has come along since then. But even Ring of Honor, to hear about it going back 10 or 12 years ago, but now it gets great promotion. But even back then, like, it was tough. How exciting is that FITE TV is giving this platform to all these organizations to become truly global?
Well, it's actually very great. In the world of streaming now, FITE TV is very important. Like, back in the day, you would have things like this, and you wouldn't be able to see them till after the tapes came out, the VHSs. You'd get tape traders. But now, in the internet age, in the streaming age, FITE TV brings these events to the fan base immediately, and it just gives fans a very wide variety to choose from. It gives them the opportunity to focus in on the things that they want to see. And I feel like this particular event, there's going to be a lot of different fans, like the fans of the Europe team, the fans of the Canadian team, the fans of the Mexican team, the fans of us from the US. It's going to be a very diverse group of fans tuning in to see what happens. And there's probably going to be a lot of US fans, a lot of Irish fans, a lot of English fans that are going to be introduced to those talents, like you were saying, La Estrella or Laredo Kid. Like, a lot of people in the US might already know those names through independent stuff, through reports on the independent scene. But to see them in action at an event like this, I think it's a very big deal. And FITE TV is widening the spotlight for a lot of events like this. And I think it's great for FITE TV, and it's great for wrestling fans throughout the world.
And I know, Chris, you have an awful lot of friendships in wrestling. You're probably one of the most liked guys out there in terms of the business. But in terms of, I remember there in terms of Impact Wrestling in the 2000s, some of the friendships that you had with AJ and obviously James Storm and Bobby Roode and Samoa Joe and all these guys that you're very, very close to. Do you still follow their careers now, even though you've gone on different paths? Do you still, so they're some of your best friends in terms of in the industry? Do you still are they still like brothers to you? The likes of AJ, Bobby, Frankie, all these sort of guys, Samoa Joe. Ye put that company on its back really for many years, and ye brought it to the level where it is today.
Yeah, absolutely. Frankie Kazarian, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, still my best friends in the business. I've been very fortunate to stay in touch with them throughout, especially since AJ's run through the WWE. We've been very proud of him from afar. It's been very great to watch his success. Same with Samoa Joe. His travels through TNA, through WWE, now to AEW, now to ROH again. It's very cool to be back and sharing a car with him and sharing a locker room with him. And then Frankie's still my best friend. Recently signed with Impact. Unfortunately, we don't get a chance to tag together anymore. But I'm so happy that he's successful and happy in Impact Wrestling. I look for nothing but great things from him there in that company. Hopefully future world champion. And we still stay in touch, and a lot of that friendship was built on driving the towns and doing Impact and doing TNA back in the day. I traveled the world with those three guys, and yeah, they are the closest friends that I have in the sport.
And I know, Frankie, you've wrestled all over the world, but in terms of wrestling in Ireland, you've been here once or twice. You probably wrestled in Dublin and Belfast. What was it like wrestling in Ireland? What was the anticipation? Because obviously wrestling in Ireland has increased the last 10 or 20 years. What Sheamus, what Becky Lynch, even what Finlay did beforehand, before Becky and Sheamus arrived, like he was the go-to guy in terms of the Irish representation. What did you find fighting in Ireland? I say it was different fighting in Ireland compared to fighting the UK, because the Irish fans can be very more boisterous, I imagine.
Honestly, the UK fans and the Irish fans are very similar in that respect. They're very boisterous. They're very loud. They're very passionate behind their guys. I remember the first time I wrestled in Ireland, it was the night after the Coventry Super Show in the UK. Myself, AJ Styles, Chris Sabin, we all flew from I want to say Manchester to Ireland. We wrestled on a show. It just so happened that Sheamus was on the undercard that evening. I believe myself and AJ were the main event of that particular show. I met Sheamus for the first time there. And yeah, it was an amazing experience for that first time for me to be in Ireland. I've had the opportunity to come a few times since, some of the times for TNA, some of the times for smaller companies like Irish Whip Wrestling. But every time, it's always been a lot of fun. Like anytime you travel internationally and you get a chance to be in front of a fan base like the Irish wrestling fan base, they're passionate about everybody. And like I was fortunate enough to have a bit of a reputation when I came over, so I got a lot of respect. I got a lot of support from the Irish fans, and hopefully in the near future, AEW will get a chance to come out to the UK, to Ireland, to that whole area, and perform live for all of you.
And just to finish up, so Christopher Daniels is in action for Team United States in the opening round match against Team Japan. He's teaming up with Sam Adonis and Johnny Caballero against Estrella and Takuma and Kuchiwa in the Lucha Libre World Cup from Guadalajara, Mexico, on this Sunday night, March 19th, on FITE TV Pay-Per-View Network. You can be streamed live at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific Time. And last word to you, Christopher Daniels. You're predicting a United States victory? World Cup in the bag?
Absolutely. We're going to be the dominant team. We're the team to beat for sure.
On that note, from me, Jim Conlan, to you, Christopher Daniels, stay safe, take care, and God bless.
Thank you, Jim.